Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, and we are back with a brand new NoDQ review post Summerslam weekend in Toronto. And it's number 66, I believe, and I am Virtue, being joined by 4 other guests. So that's a total of 5, for those of you in the YouTube comments keeping track. Of course, Aaron Rift is here with me. TJS, one of the newest members, Robbie Weiss, and a special appearance. He's made an appearance before, San. What's up, San? I'm going to start with you, man. What's up?
Great to be back as part of my patented introduction. Hey, NoDQ Galaxy, San Ghost Crew here, ready to break down the week.
Sweet, and it's good to have you aboard, and I can't wait for your takes and opinions on these topics. Robbie, what's up, Mr. Weiss?
Not much. I'm relieved that it's near the weekend and I can take a break from wrestling. It's been a crazy weekend, and I'm sure even for you guys doing all the traveling, me sitting at home, it was exhausting. I can't imagine traveling the streets of Toronto. So, man, I'm looking forward to the review. I think we got some new people, we got some new energy, so I'm looking forward to it, Virtue.
Sweet. TJS, I see you got your Xbox headset on. You're going to be playing a little bit of gaming as we do this. What's up?
Yes, sir. Of course, speaking of gaming, the Fiend is in 2K20, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be great. Anyway, I'm absolutely exhausted. I've done a lot of driving today, and these topics are really good though. So hopefully that it wakes me up a little bit, because usually WWE is the thing that puts me to sleep. Aaron, what's up, man?
I'm doing well, still recovering from the whole Toronto trip, and I'm looking forward to this video because Virtue and I were there for TakeOver and SummerSlam. We have the live perspectives. It'll be interesting to hear some perspectives from people that actually watched it on the WWE Network, if you were able to watch it, because I did hear that some people were having technical difficulties. So I'm curious to know from you guys individually as we go through this video if you were having streaming issues. We'll talk about that here. Let's go ahead and get the NoDQ review started.
Well, let's start, and we'll do Nxt Takeover Toronto first. So Aaron and I were there. Another fantastic show. I gave it an A-. Aaron, you gave it an A, right? I want to start with you, TJS. What did you think about this show? But more importantly, as you talk about it, this is something that's been bugging me on social media the last couple of days. What was your favorite match, or the best match?
Okay, so I thought that this is going to be unpopular, but I didn't think this was the strongest takeover that we've had. And I know that I'm going to get some hate for this probably, but I feel like having 2 women's matches kind of held it back a little bit. I think it was kind of weak in the show. I know a lot of people didn't really care for Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler, but I actually did like it because I know Aaron and Virtue, you guys were there. You couldn't really hear the commentary, but the commentators were talking about how Mia Yim was having to break the rules and everything to try to beat Shayna Baszler, and she still didn't do it, so I guess she just looks terrible. Anyway, I thought that the triple threat match was very good. And then, tag team match, good. Everything was pretty good. And then the main event, my issue with that was that it was too long. I felt like it wasn't really necessary to have the first 2 falls. We didn't need the 2 out of 3 falls, because if it wasn't unbelievable already that Johnny Gargano was kicking out of Canadian Destroyers off the top rope, having them wrestle like a 40-minute match prior to him getting those, that didn't help, I don't think. So, that being said, I feel like the triple threat match was the match of the night. And I feel like that match was just full of stars. Roderick Strong, great guy. Velveteen Dream, so much charisma. Pete Dunne, very good also. So, I thought that match was the best of all. I'll go to you, San. What do you think?
So, my match of the night was actually Eel Shorai versus Candice Larae. I thought the match from start to finish was awesome. The main event, from a spectacle standpoint, I thought was a great spectacle, but too many false finishes, and I just thought parts of it kind of got borderline ridiculous. Didn't have to go as long as you were saying. I enjoyed the match, but I just thought just a little bit too much towards the end for my taste. And overall, like the tag team match, like the triple threat match. The only thing that was kind of a downer for me on the show was Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler. I thought the match was just okay, but just never kicked into high gear. That's pretty much what I thought about the show.
Why do you think Eel Shorai and Candice was the best match to you?
I like the whole presentation because, like, I don't watch NXT TV straight to straight. I go from takeover to takeover. I love the presentation of the new heel turn, just the music, everything with Eel Shorai, Candice Larae, and I just thought the match told a better story. And just it wasn't overly long. It was just the right length, and they weren't doing like all the tremendous amount of kickouts and everything. It just felt like it was perfect. That's the reason why I liked it. I guess it's the storytelling.
Okay. Noted. And I do like EO's new character change.
Me too.
Robbie Vice, I'm interested to hear what you have to say about NXT here.
So I actually had some streaming issues for NXT TakeOver. SummerSlam was flawless, but my TakeOver stream was actually a little bit choppy. The best match of the night has to be anything involving the Velveteen Dream. The guy exudes charisma. He's the biggest star in NXT, and I would say, given the right push, he could be the biggest star in the company since John Cena. The guy has money written all over him. So that match, in my opinion, was by far the best of the night. The intro tag team match with the Street Profits was also a great match. It started off, people said it was slow and boring, but that is old school tag team wrestling that everyone claims that they miss and they love. So between those two matches, those were absolutely my favorite moments of the entire night, Virtue.
Sweet. Now, Aaron Rift, I know you've kind of already said your piece, but you want to elaborate anything after you heard some other thoughts?
I thought everybody made great points about the pay-per-view event. I agree with what TJS said about the main event. I think it was too long. I think the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation just made it so I was not into the match until the 3rd fall because I felt like, okay, it's obvious they're going to go to 3 falls. We saw the cage above the ring covered in tarp. I liked Candice and Io Shirai's match. I thought, like you guys said, it was the right amount of time, and I bought into the near falls. Like I was not sure what was going to happen there. They got me, and it's tough to convince me that a near fall is actually going to be the finish. And I thought that they did a really great job with that, and I think it was a breakout performance for both of them. But I knew both of them had it in them to have that show-stealing moment. I do think that it was the weakest of the 3 takeovers that I went to in person. I went to Chicago last year, June, and then November for War Games, and then this one. I thought this was the weakest of the 3, but still A-. I still thought it was a really fun show, and it continues the streak of great NXT programming.
Let me just say this really quick. If that main event, I don't understand why it needed to be 2 out of 3 falls. Why did they have to be in this gruesome cage? It's not like it was personal between them. You had Cole go to Gargano's dad's sandwich shop. If this should have been Gargano and Ciampa in that structure, I think. In the lethal lockdown, it should have been Gargano and Ciampa. So
make that match not a best of 3 falls, right? Because then it's going 3 falls. Just have it the gimmick cage match with the weapons, whatever. Take 15 minutes off of it. You could add it. I know NXT's formula is for takeovers 5 matches. You could add Matt Riddle and Killian Dane actually have a match, even if it would have ended in like a double DQ or double count out. That would have been a hot bell ring. Get it going. Let's not just have a brawl. Matt Riddle is another star besides Velveteen Dream. Now, Rob, I know you don't believe that, but dude, he's working social media. He's disrespecting legends. That's what I want.
Matt Riddle.
That's what. Yeah, okay, but whatever. If he breaks his feet or they look uglier later in life, that's fine. First of all, there is no show stealing.
Hole I would like to ask, right?
Go.
I would ask about this is in the 2nd round. Why didn't the rest of the Undisputed Era come out to help Adam Cole?
We were saying, I was telling Aaron, I was like, "Where's his buddies?" Yeah. So and again, so that wasn't the best match of the night. But like, I hear these people saying stealing the show. Io Shirai, Candice Larae. It was a very, very, very well done match with nothing on the line. But I mean, you can't steal the show from Velveteen Dream. Nobody can. He can go out there and phone it in, mail it in, whatever your terminology is, and it's going to probably still be one of the most, if not the most entertaining spot on the card. He had me at the entrance. The Mountie and the Raptors. Now, Rob, I know you hated that.
I don't like the Raptors.
Played to that home crowd, and he came out as Velveteen Dream, and he delivered. So, solid show, fun time being there with Aaron and the NoDQ crew. Now, let's go to SummerSlam, okay? I only gave SummerSlam a C+, okay? It was fun, right? The whole experience being there with NoDQ was fun. But as a show, if I was sitting at home watching it, I gave it a C+ because I had no Braun Strowman. I had no Roman Reigns, no Drew McIntyre, no Samoa Joe. Who else were we missing from this card? No Daniel Bryan. Okay, these are big potential guys that this company should push. So let me start with you, San. Thoughts on SummerSlam, likes and dislikes?
So overall with SummerSlam, I thought it was a pretty okay show, pretty okay. The thing that stood out to me were this: I liked Natty versus what was it, Becky Lynch in the submission match. I love the whole presentation of Bray Wyatt as the Fiend. Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair, and the main event with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Those were the four big things that stood out to me. Everything else on the show was kind of pretty much, it was there. Like the Ricochet and AJ Styles match should have been so awesome, but I knew once they went into the whole thing about Ricochet has to sell his leg, I'm like, they've cut this already under the rug, because you gotta go with the logic of it. Like, he's gonna be high flying everywhere, but it just took away from what could be an amazing match. But yeah, overall, it was those four matches that stood out to me at SummerSlam.
All right, let's go to you, Rob. Mr.
Why
Vice.
was Braun Strowman not on this show? I mean, that was the number one thing I had. Other random notes that came to mind was, what the hell was Ricochet wearing? Is he Scuba Steve now? Is that like the new gimmick for this guy?
Scuba Steve, damn you!
I think
Right.
Nightwing was the
Nightwing,
consensus eventually.
Was it? Yeah, right.
Yeah. But,
The best part of the show, and God, I feel like I say this every pay-per-view or every time we talk about Raw at least, is Bray Wyatt. This Fiend character, if built correctly, is the next Undertaker. He could be the next Kane, the next Mick Foley, but he isn't any of those things. He will be the next Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. Now, I think it's a little weird. They've kind of booked themselves into a situation where you're going to have the Demon face the Fiend, and one of them has to lose, and I'm not sure I like that so much, but yeah, it's okay. Goldberg did not deserve to be on this card. Shane McMahon did not deserve to be on this card, and Natalya did not deserve to be on this card, but other than that, I thought it was a decent show. I'd give it a C.
Well, I like those takes, and I'm sure some of our NoDQ Galaxy will too. Aaron Rift.
Well, I think that regarding Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt, I think the Demon should probably lose at some point and maybe evolve Finn Balor's character into something else. I think it's time to do something different with him. And yeah, eventually the Demon's got to lose. So I don't really have a problem with that. And I enjoyed the show. I had a good time with everybody. I think that Goldberg's return was exactly what it needed to be. I enjoyed the main event, Seth Rollins winning back the title. And if the pay-per-view ends strong, I think that really helps as well. I thought the main event delivering helped elevate the show. And I thought everything else was pretty solid. There was no like match of the year contender, but all in all, I did enjoy SummerSlam. And I did not have a problem with those top names not being on the show, because if they were on the show, we would have had a 6-hour show instead of a 4.5-hour show. And I was very much appreciating that shorter show. And that helped bump up my letter grade for SummerSlam as well.
Well, interesting. I wish it would have been a 6 or 7 hour show, because I would have looked over and maybe took a video of you this time. But anyway, when you were starting to get tired and cranky. TJS.
Well, I'll talk more about The Fiend later on in detail, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I really liked the whole card, honestly. The only match that I didn't really care for was, surprise, Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. And I was really looking forward to that match because it has so much build. My problem is that they pretty much did the exact same thing as they did last year at SummerSlam with AJ and Joe, where it's like, pretty much you had Joe like, hey, Wendy, I'll be your new daddy. It was pretty much the same thing here. You have Randy Orton just like walk up to the wife or whatever. It's like, give me a break. If Randy's not going to like give her the elevated DDT while Kofi's handcuffed, I don't want any part of this. Like he did with Stephanie and Triple H, get it like that. Make it actually personal, not just Randy Orton called me stupid 10 years ago. I'm going to beat him for vindication. Give me a break. Overall, though, SummerSlam gets an A-. Takeover gets a solid B. That's right.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
What did you give SummerSlam?
A-.
Wow, man, I was really critical to C+. All right, so if you, in that middle of the show where it seemed like there was the lull, I was against Roman facing Buddy Murphy. Remember I said, oh, God, if that's the image of Buddy Murphy and that's who did it, that's the feud. But it wasn't the feud, right? So I would have been okay with him wrestling Buddy Murphy and just like the way they did it on SmackDown. And that right in the middle of the card, what they did on SmackDown, which was a heck of a match, right? I mean, people were talking about it. I know it was a TV match, but that would have livened that middle of the card up. People would have been like, wow, Roman can go. And I think that I would have bumped my SummerSlam grade up to a B. And that's not even with Bryan or Strowman or anybody else. Just Roman and Buddy Murphy in the middle of that card for 10 minutes would have made me happy.
And that reminds me, something that I had an issue with this show is that, so the last thing we saw on the Go Home SmackDown was Roman Reigns finding out that Rowan supposedly was behind the incidents. Roman Reigns wasn't on this show at all. Like, you'd think it's the big dog, so he'd come out at the very beginning of the show and be like, Rowan, get your ass out here. But no, there was not even any acknowledgement of it, and it really
put him on
bugged
the
me.
poster too.
I think they did it for a reason. The way it ended up, we didn't know at the time, but it was Seth's show. It was Seth to carry that title, hold it on the announce table at the end with the fireworks, with that didn't happen at Mania because he won it in the opener because the women went on last. This was Vince McMahon's baby. The men are the main event, damn it. And they just redid what I think that Vince wanted to do at Mania. And so that's why they did the whole Money in the Bank thing, so Seth could have his little firework champion and overcome all odds.
It felt special, I think, because he was even crying. And I think that was really cool.
So there you go. That's our SummerSlam takes. Let's move on because we got some other topics. You done, TGS?
Yes.
I want to start with King of the Ring. It's coming back, right? And when they get creatively bankrupt, which they often are, they bring King of the Ring back because it's easy to put matches together. So who wants to start first about maybe who should win this tournament? Like, Rob, you want to go? Because, like, I'm sitting there scratching my head. Why in 2019 are we doing this? Is it going to put somebody over?
No, I mean, probably not. I mean, nothing really happens of consequence anymore. I mean, they'll have some matches. Someone might be King of the Ring. They'll call themselves King for 3 weeks, and then they'll never talk about it again. I think Drew McIntyre is an obvious favorite for me to win this tournament because he needs something. He's been Shane McMahon's lackey for way too long, and he needs something to stand on his own, and he needs to challenge someone for a title and establish his dominance instead of telling us how dominant he is. That's my take on King of the Ring. It's historical, it's amazing, but we need someone to actually take it by the horns and just take it home, man. Like, we need Drew McIntyre to be King McIntyre for a while.
I like that pick.
Here's why I think that
Aaron, you're next.
Here's why I think that's maybe not the best idea, because I feel like the King of the Ring winner is going to be wearing the crown and the robe and all that, and McIntyre doing that just doesn't feel right for his character.
A black crown would be sweet, though.
Well, I mean, maybe he could do something different with it, but I don't have that much faith in WWE to be creative with that. I feel like somebody like Andrade would look really good with the robe, and he could play off of that very nicely with Zelina being the queen. I'm thinking Andrade is the good pick. My heart says Andrade, but my brain says Baron Corbin. Ugh.
All right, and before, and I want to say that's who I think is going to win it, or maybe who I would want to win is Baron Corbin, and make Lacey Evans his queen. There you go. That gimmick was always designed for heel heat, right? Look at the Macho King Randy Savage and Sensational Sherry. Look when my Virtues Rages episodes on this channel were doing well, and then I did the King gimmick, and then all of a sudden I'm the big a-hole on this channel, right? It worked. It's a simple formula. So, San, what do you think, man? Like, who should win this? To me, I still kind of think it's irrelevant in 2019, but...
Well, first, let me just say that I miss the King of the Ring from when I was a kid. Bring back the pay-per-view. Bring back the one-night tournaments where it's 3 rounds. Bring that back. As far as who should win, I would love to see Drew McIntyre win if they're going to do something with this. But if it's just a gimmick, just to fill time, I thought you guys made a good point about Baron Corbin, because I actually do think, even though a lot of people say he has go-away heat, I feel like he's really coming to his own as this role. And I think, this would be perfect for him. Just throw him out there talking about this is his royal ring and all that stuff. So if they're not going to do much with the King of the Ring winner, Baron Corbin, but if they are and it's going to be meant as a push, then push Drew McIntyre, because I wanted this guy to win the Rumble. He didn't happen. I wanted him to win the Money in the Bank. It did happen. So give him something.
All right. Well, good point. Now, TJS, it's King of the Ring, and Charlotte is not in this tournament before you say she should win it. So go ahead.
I'm going to say right now, I'm calling the finals to be McIntyre versus Owens. Shane's going to help McIntyre win. I am willing to bet. Actually, not really, but that'll probably happen. And I'm fine with McIntyre winning because I feel like he can, if anyone can make this a serious thing, it could be him because he's Scottish, He could have like a badass crown, a really cool scepter, everything. I feel like it would work nicely for McIntyre. And then, so you guys are talking about how it may or may not elevate careers. Well, they say that Royal Rumble's supposed to elevate careers. Look at Nakamura. I mean, the guy's IC champion, but haven't seen him in a little bit. Money in the Bank, Braun Strowman, going nowhere. So I don't know. I guess it'll be okay, but I feel like it's filler. And hopefully in the end they do make something out of it, though. Hopefully there's something on the line besides just the crown, like you guys said. So I'm going with the McIntyre.
Well, there you have it. And so what do you think, NoDQ Galaxy? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because maybe there's someone else in the tournament that you guys can make a case for that we overlooked. Let's move on to the Fiend, okay? He wasn't on Raw or SmackDown. Seems like they're going to protect this. Now, when he's not on Raw or SmackDown, coming off of SummerSlam, everything we saw, don't you guys think it would behoove WWE to have some Firefly Funhouses to air at least, the weeks he's not on TV? Who wants to start with this? Because here's the problem. That lantern was cool, his face, right? Because he wears the mask now. But they edited it off their YouTube channel. Let's just hope that's where it ends. Do you think that WWE will castrate parts of this gimmick?
I'll go ahead and start this.
Go ahead, Son.
I said in my review, this is sports entertainment. This took me back to when I was a kid with characters like The Undertaker, Kane, and who else? Mankind. Like, this was cool to see something like this. I loved everything about it. The presentation, the entrance, the symbolism of his old character, and he's taking the head off and who he is. And one thing that I mentioned in my review that I really love that I don't see from Finn Balor when he's the demon is that Bray Wyatt he kept his moveset, but he wrestled a different style. Like, it felt like a different character. This is epic.
Great
and if
point. There's people that argued with me that, it's just Bray Wyatt with a mask on now. That is a great point.
Yeah. And then on top of that, when you build up the demon, Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, this is going to be epic. This is so much to the point that I wouldn't mind if they decided to bring back his rivalry with The Undertaker and have Bray Wyatt go over clean on Taker for good. But the biggest thing that it ultimately comes down to, because we know how impressive Bray Wyatt is as a performer, he has got to get wins. This whole gimmick will be nothing if they don't give him the wins. So I really hope that they do not go ahead and just sabotage it or just pull the rug underneath it. But unfortunately, given WWE's history, it's a good chance they might, and it will be depressing.
Right. Now, Aaron, you're next. And I want to add this, Aaron. Could you imagine after the match at SummerSlam, they showed Bray as the Mr. Rogers part of his gimmick? And he walked up to Finn Balor, who was like nursing his injuries, and they were looking at a monitor, and Bray was like, "Yowie, wowie." I mean, you know what I mean? They could do so much with the right creative on this guy. Go ahead.
Right. Maybe they will do that at some point where he wins a match and then backstage the guy's being checked out, and then Bray Wyatt in the Mr. Rogers gear comes up and does that. I could definitely see that happening. Son, you made some great points. I agree with you with everything. I think the key is to make fans want more. Give them wanting more. Don't throw him out there every single week. Virtue, I do think you make a good point, though. You might want to throw little vignettes on Raw and SmackDown every now and then, but save him for every couple of weeks. Keep him as a special attraction. And by doing that, you have time to think about where you want to go with this character. You don't just throw him out there for the sake of doing it and then risk making a booking mistake with him. I feel like the more he's on television, the more chances there will be that WWE will screw something up with him. So I think you keep him on television every couple weeks or so, and you just do that format. And I think that that's what is going to be the best chance of him to succeed long-term in WWE, is to just use him as a special attraction, not like Brock Lesnar where he only appears every 2 months or something, but every couple weeks he shows up. You never know when he's going to pop up. Remember Sting in WCW? You never know when he's going to show up. That's what I think they should do with Bray.
Good point. Now, TGS, you mentioned he's going to be in the game, right?
Yeah.
So what better way, right, than to keep him off TV just during those special times and make people want, well, how do I see the Fiend? How can I be the Fiend? Let me buy the video game and play as him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely going to sell, I think. Okay. So I really loved the presentation with the Fiend and everything. Loved the lantern. I loved every bit of it. Now, as far as the match goes, here's where I have a slight complaint. I feel like the Fiend should have no-sold everything. I feel like he shouldn't have left his feet at all during this match. I feel like Finn should have been trying to take him down, give him clotheslines, give him drop kicks, and just have the Fiend not be knocked down like the old Undertaker. And then you could have Finn, like, clothesline him over the top rope, and then he lands on his feet on the outside or something, then comes back in, puts mandible claw, that's it. I think that would have been really cool. But yeah, as far as the whole lantern goes, I don't know if they're going to take that off, like, be done with it, or if they were just, like, editing out, shortening the video because they wanted people to subscribe to the network because they're just giving you, like, a taste of the entrance. I don't know. Also, I feel like we need... So, the Fiend is pretty fleshed out as it is, but I want to see some more depth into the other half of Bray Wyatt's character. You know how he did the hurt heel thing? I would have liked to see eventually I want to see what happens if the heel wins, and I want to see what happens there if it's not hurt. And then I want to see regular Bray Wyatt wrestle, or not regular, but, the Mr. Rogers type. I don't want it to be just old Bray Wyatt, most of the time, and then Fiend sometimes. I want two distinctly different characters. I want the Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt sometimes, Fiend sometimes, and in the theme song, by the way, it's on Spotify. At the end of the song, you hear Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt apologizing for what he did, talking about forgiving. So I love the idea of Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt just not remembering, just pretty much acting like he's a completely different person from the Fiend, basically, and then just be like, oh, I'm really sorry about what happened. Legitimately have him friendly. Make him the babyface and the Fiend the heel. That's my idea. I would definitely go with that.
All right, Robbie Vice. Now, TGS had a good point about Bray no-selling. I mean, Seth Rollins no-sells, right? So why can't... Go. Anyway, I had to get that in there.
I actually disagree with that. I don't like when we have the unstoppable force monster heel, because at some point Kane starts doing a Kane-a-Rooney, and it just ruins the character, I think, for a short amount of time. I think having him human is almost more scary than him being supernatural, because the fact that if a human being can do these despicable things that supposedly the Fiend has done, I think that makes for a better character. The Lantern, I believe, is amazing, and I think Aaron Rift can attest to this. That was all done so they don't get demonetized on YouTube. And we know how much that people like to flag things like that with sensitive parents and things like that going out there. But yeah, the Fiend is obviously the best thing going on right now, and I do agree that we should see the Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt maybe wrestle occasionally, but completely separate though. Have him never really acknowledge it unless he starts to go into that change, kind of like the Mick Foley thing. I would love to see him come out as Bray Wyatt, then the Mr. Rogers, and then the Fiend to win the Royal Rumble this year. I would love to see something like that. But yeah, the Fiend, A-okay in my book.
And here's why Bray is so brilliant. You go back and look at a lot of his old promos. He touched on everything he was going to do. You can go pick apart 20 of his promos, and he basically said the Fiend is showing up at some point. That's amazing. I don't know if he snuck that in there and then just figured, eventually they'll let me do it. But Bray Wyatt is at another level, and they need to let him continue to do this the way he wants to do it.
Yeah, and you and Aaron were both at SummerSlam, so what was the atmosphere like for the Fiend's entrance? I mean,
goosebumps.
There had to be...
I guarantee you 70% of that arena had goosebumps.
Yeah, and
I had it.
They really made you wait for it, too. Like, they had Finn come out, and then you just had to wait for it. Like, yep. I couldn't imagine being there live. I bet it was awesome.
Yeah. No, everybody loved it. Everybody was into it, and the feeling in the arena when I was there, like, this is something that's hot. Like, this is cool. And wrestling has really lacked the cool factor in a long time. This is the first gimmick in a while. Like Son said earlier, like, this is classic sports entertainment that people love. Undertaker, Kane, the comic book like characters, and this guy has got it. It's a perfect sports entertainment character.
They have WrestleMania 36 main event last booked if they choose to. The Demon coming back from getting his butt kicked as regular Finn versus the Fiend in the last match at Mania 36. Throw a title in there, don't throw a title in there. That's main event worthy. That would draw.
Hey, I just wanted to say right quick, and Robbie, what you just said, man, break out the 1998 Royal Rumble gimmick with Bray Wyatt like Mick Foley did. Have him come out as the evil Mr. Rogers, get eliminated, and then comes back later as the Fiend. I would mark out so much for that.
I would be okay with that, but he has to win it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think that's one. But let's move on. And Rob, I'm starting with you. I'm just going to give you a name. I'm going to give you a name, and you have at it. Braun Strowman.
So I have a solution to fix Braun Strowman and make compelling story. So all the people out there that want to get me hooked up with WWE Creative so I can make a big paycheck at NoDQ Vice. So they need to have Braun Strowman join the OC as their enforcer. Have him become, there we go. Have him be a heel again, and then put a belt on him. But what belt can we give him to draw heat? Give Braun Strowman in the OC the 24/7 title, have him walk to the middle of the ring every Monday, stand there with the belt, and mercilessly beat down some of these beloved jobbers to just build more heat, laugh about it, have the OC come out, make a mockery of all of them, and have them leave. Have them do this NWO-style thing where they can go out and beat the crap out of people, they can all talk smack, and Strowman has their back. I think this is a surefire money way to not only have a great faction that they can sell merch for, make Braun Strowman relevant, and elevate this 24/7 title from something that we give a pregnant woman to something that people actually want again.
Very interesting. So he should be part of the OC?
He absolutely needs to be part of a faction because they don't
So
trust him to be on his own. I want heel Strowman.
Okay. I kind of like that. So TGS, what do you think, man? You might have your own take there with
Yeah, okay. I like your ideas, but I feel like Braun needs to be the top baby face. I don't know. I just feel like I don't think anyone's gonna boo this guy. We saw how botched the heel turn was a couple years ago. And then when he turned face, that's what everyone wanted. You know, when they put him in the garbage truck or whatever, everyone wanted to cheer Braun already.
He was facing Roman.
Yeah, and that was a great feud. But I don't know about Braun joining the faction because I think he would get the Drew McIntyre syndrome where he just got lost in the shuffle and became Shane's lackey. I'd be worried that people would think of Braun as just a lackey. So I don't know. I like the idea though. If they
did you think of Hall and Nash as lackeys to Hogan in the NWO? I didn't.
Well, no, but today in WWE, it's I don't know. I guess you could argue that the OC is taken a lot more seriously than Shane McMahon, because those guys have championships on like the 50-year-old man. I don't know. I like the idea though, but I just
he hasn't stood on his own yet though. They haven't believed him enough to stand on his own.
Yeah. I just
TGS,
feel like,
then you want to turn him baby down the road, and then he destroy. You know, then he can beat up the OC. Like if they feel that's run its course.
They're doing with the Universal title and Seth, because we know that Braun's not going to beat Seth. Like, but we have AJ versus Braun next week for the U.S. title, huh? Like this is really perplexing to me. If Braun wins the U.S. title, I don't like it. I think Braun should have beaten Brock Lesnar the first time he faced him, won the title, and he should have been the guy, top guy.
Roman set him up to be that guy, and then when he got to Brock, they nixed it. Aaron Rift, what do you think, man?
I agree with TJS. I think the ball was dropped 2 years ago with Braun Strowman, and then it was even worse for him last year when he did that heel turn. He does not need to become Big Show 2.0, so I'm not a fan of him going back to being a heel. I know Rollins got a positive reaction, but I really feel it's time for a Rollins heel turn if anybody's going to turn, and let Rollins be the heel that runs his mouth and Strowman's trying to get at him, but Rollins is always one step ahead of him, and Rollins is the one that has a faction. I feel like that's a better idea than Strowman joining a faction. I don't think Strowman's going to win the title regardless. I think the next Universal Champion, unless WWE screws it up, is going to be Bray Wyatt. And maybe they could eventually do Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman as a feud, and they'll somehow get Strowman out of this Rollins program. It'll just be something temporary for now. Strowman will get screwed over, something like that. Maybe AJ will screw him over, and then Strowman will feud in the upper mid card. And then next year, 2020, you can do Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman as a big feud for the WWE Universal Championship.
Well, there you have it from Aaron Rift. So now, San, what do you think?
I just simply think you go back to basics. You go back to where what brought Braun Strowman to the dance. I would love to see him and AJ Styles because I don't think we've had a match between them. Put the U.S. title on Braun Strowman and let him run as a dominant U.S. title, bring some prestige back to that title, and just do all the gimmicks that worked with him and slowly build him back up from the mid card to the main event. And then, like Aaron saying, in 2020, maybe we can see Braun Strowman enter that main event. I just think go back to what worked for Braun Strowman. Do it probably in the mid card if you don't want him in the main event right now, and things should work out and give him big wins.
Yeah, we're getting AJ versus Braun for the title Monday night, so yeah.
No, I'd rather see it on pay-per-view.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
know it's
Interesting takes, and we'll see what happens. And I know Robbie Vice will be monitoring the situation.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Roman Reigns and this epic angle that they are just dragging on. It all started with even Daniel Bryan not revealing his career-altering announcement, right? Now, chances are we're going to get Roman and Daniel Bryan, and you know, the dirt sheets were right, and they're just dragging the story out, okay? But what could really be done to make this epic? Maybe Daniel Bryan isn't the guy. Maybe Rowan's not the guy. Does anybody – I mean, that's probably where it's going to go, right? I enjoyed this, what led to a match with Buddy Murphy on SmackDown. I mean, that kind of maybe will help elevate Buddy Murphy a little bit into the main roster guy, not a 205 Live guy. Now, Aaron, I know you didn't believe for 1 second he was going to beat Roman.
Right.
A lot of, 205 Live fans who like Buddy Murphy don't care who wins or loses. They just like their match. They got that, right? So who cares who wins? I have an interesting theory of what I would like, and maybe one of you will say it, and I would pop for that. But I'll go last on this. So who wants to talk about this angle first, about Roman and how it could be epic?
Let me start. So I think what we've seen so far, Daniel Bryan's performances and Roman Reigns beating up, both Buddy Murphy getting beat up twice in the locker room in the match with Buddy Murphy has been awesome. What you need to simply do is bring Rikishi out and say that he did it. I'm just kidding. But anyway, that would be a great funny parody if they do that. I think to bring a shock, bring somebody from NXT. I'm not so sure who that should be, but I think this is a great way to introduce someone from NXT because I'm not sure who on the main roster it would create like that big type of moment. So I think this needs to be NXT. Like I said, I'm not sure who it should be, but I just think use this as a way to debut someone new from NXT onto the main roster to mainly be with Rowan and Daniel Bryan.
There you go. TGS, go for it.
Imagine if it was Tommaso Ciampa. That would be a good way to build him as like a sadistic SOB. So first of all, I'm just going to say this, and this is a fact. Daniel Bryan is the best wrestler in the world. He's the best promo in the world. No one's touched him as this heel. Like, it's the best work he's ever done, and I don't think anyone holds a candle to him.
Kofi Kingston, because they put him over.
Oh, God. Like I said, he should have never lost the title. Anyway, as far as this angle goes, it has me tuning in, but I feel like WWE just keeps dragging it, and man, I don't know. I don't understand why Roman didn't try to interrogate Daniel Bryan and Rowan. And so they were like, we'll tell you the attacker next week. So do you think Roman just was like, okay, and then just walked off? Like, no, I want to know who the hell did this. And Roman wants to, so I bet he like grabbed Daniel Bryan by the shirt. It's like, tell me who did it. Like, that's what he did with Murphy. So I don't know. I hope this doesn't get too overbooked. And maybe it was Jimmy Uso. He's gotten all those DUIs. He may have right into Roman, and now they have to make a story out of it because it was caught on camera. Yeah, I feel like it has to be Daniel Bryan and Rowan. If not, then maybe Harper. I don't know. I figured that Buddy Murphy could say, like, yeah, I lied. I did see Daniel Bryan there. It wasn't just Rowan or something like that. Like, I don't know, but something needs to happen soon. I feel like the culmination should have been at SummerSlam, though.
Hey, TJS, you keep saying you don't know. I wonder if the WWE even knows themselves. Maybe
that's always a great point. Yeah, I say that all the time. Sometimes I don't even know from week to week.
Like with that,
even the hour before the show starts.
With that career-altering announcement, what was it? They probably never knew. They probably never had
Roman Reigns' opponent originally supposed to be at SummerSlam?
Yep. All right, Robbie Vice.
I
I don't care. This storyline's been dragged out so long. I just don't care. We can say that maybe it's going to be all these things, but let's be honest. What is it going to turn out to be? It's going to be a one-off match on a random pay-per-view that no one cares about, and they're going to move on from there. They tried to have this big idea for a SummerSlam build-up. They got cold feet for whatever reason, and now they're just going to give us some stupid match, and it's going to be over, and they're never going to talk about it again. So I'm not really excited for this at all.
So you're expecting Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, it's just going to be Roman versus Daniel Bryan at whatever pay-per-view in your house, and it's going to be a one-off match, and that's it.
All right, there you go.
It'll be a damn good one-off match.
Vice right there. Aaron Rest.
I mean, that very well could be what ends up happening. 2 words, Luke Harper. If Luke Harper's the guy, and it would make sense because Buddy Murphy on SmackDown said that it wasn't them. So technically he's telling the truth if it's Luke Harper, because Luke Harper was the 3rd person. And then you have Harper back on TV. I'm happy about that. And you can get a few matches out of Roman Reigns. Roman can go through Roman first. He can go through Harper and then finally get to Bryan, and you can spread it out over a couple months instead of just doing the one match, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, and then moving on to whatever the next thing is. So yeah, if Harper's back, cool. If it's just Rowan and Bryan, then I'm going to be like, meh. So that's all I have to say about it.
If we get Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, I'm cool with that. They could say Adam Rose's bunny did it. As long as we get Daniel Bryan versus Roman.
I would rather have that.
Well, yeah,
So,
I think it will happen.
a few years ago.
That's what it's going to be, So now I'm getting into fantasy booking here, and I'll be fine with that. I would like one more Daniel Bryan, maybe 2 more Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns matches, because that one at Fastlane several years back was really, 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 really good.
Right.
But let's play what's the biggest bang for your buck right now. So when does SmackDown officially start on Fox?
October 4th.
Okay.
Staples Center.
And Fox News is doing interviews with Enzo and Cass. Oh my God. Like, that's just so weird. It's not wrestling news sites. It's Fox. Maybe there's a mark at Fox News for wrestling. But that's just weird, right?
Yeah.
So my option 1, Cass. Enzo as the mouthpiece. That would be epic. Okay. Now that requires hiring people back in that we don't know if that'll ever happen. So my second option is Bray Wyatt and the Fiend. Why not? That would go to directly be your biggest angle going to Fox. There you have it. Drag this thing out for the fall. That's what you want. And of course, well, why are these failed attempts? Could be weird puppets in the car. They could go back and redo some of this footage where oh my God, there's a puppet in the front driver's passenger, or the driver's seat of the car. That's the goody good Bray Wyatt who doesn't know if he really wants to push the thing over or not. I'm just saying, you have it made, and then the Fiend really what comes out in the end. But again, it's not close to any WrestleMania time, so how long could they drag it out? But you want your biggest bang for your buck, those 2 scenarios right there. I mean, come on. But we're going to get Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, and like TGS said, Bryan's performance on SmackDown was fantastic. Him yelling at Buddy Murphy, great stuff. I loved it.
It makes me question, how was this guy a babyface? And when he was a babyface, I was like, oh, this guy will never be heel. It's crazy how good this guy
maybe
is.
I'm just hoping that Daniel Bryan the whole Kofi and Randy Orton thing ends, and Bryan gets back in the mix and takes the title back from Kofi. So I'm thinking if that happens, then who's it going to be for Roman? So I'm just trying, I would have a whole sheet of scenarios for Vince McMahon. He'd probably rip them all up because they're all too good, right?
Yep,
if they're good, he rips them up. We
change it.
crap on their writing team all the time. But, now, can we really crap on it if their stuff really isn't making it to TV? We don't even know if they're giving us good ideas because it's all re-edits by Vince McMahon. Right. But anyway, let's go to the main event.
Yes.
Sasha Banks finally returned, okay? And I had a problem with this. We knew she was going to come back for Becky. Becky called her out. I don't mind her turning heel, right? Why did they have to get there through Natty? I don't want to see come on, that did not work, Rob. I know having Natty out there, my dad died a year ago, okay, we get it. It's sad. And then why the reveal of the blue hair under pink hair? They should have just had Becky in the ring cutting a promo, and then Sasha jumps the barricade in a hoodie, right? You don't know who it is for a second. Maybe she has wind pants on. Boom, attacks her, takes the hoodie off. It's Sasha with blue hair. Easy peasy, simple. This was convoluted. Rob, I'm going to start with you. I think this was awful. Now, the concept is right. Sasha heel against Becky.
Sure.
But
Sure.
The delivery sucked.
So I will say
It's
not a good sign for Natty's character when you get the crap beat out of you after talking about your dad dying and everyone starts saying, "Thank you, Sasha," and they start cheering that. Not a good look.
And they should have knew that she was going to be called out like that. They shouldn't have put Natty in that situation.
No, they should not have. Apparently, they revealed Sasha Banks to be Super Saiyan Blue or something. I don't know. It was insanity right there. I don't know why they hid the blue hair thing. I thought that was weird. Whatever. This was just textbook WWE heel turn 101. I like what happened. I just don't really like the way they went about doing it. I agree with you, Virtue. And if you see some of the GIFs, I retweeted it where, you know, she hits Becky in the head because Becky doesn't tuck her head, and you see the stupid cameras moving up and down in the background. That was so irritating to me.
A lot of people said that Sasha was still reckless on the shots, but
Becky
I still
shouldn't have raised her head.
It takes two to tango.
Right. But yeah, I'm excited for the feud. It's going to be a great match. And at least Sasha can go out there and do her boss promo. Heel Sasha is good. Face Sasha is kind of like face Rollins. I just don't buy it, and I'm just over it as soon as it starts. But I think it should be an interesting match, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Aaron Rift.
Well, I enjoyed it, but I'm just concerned they're going to screw things up. The key is the promo from Sasha next week. To me, that's going to make or break this heel turn. My fear is that she's going to come out there and it's going to be WWE 101 where she just says, I don't have to give you people a reason as to why I'm turning heel. I want a reason, damn it. I want her to go out there and speak from the heart and just go all out. Like Bret Hart, the night after WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart's heel turn promo. That was fantastic. Bret Hart had reasons for why he did what he did. Sasha's going to go out there, and my fear is she's just going to say, I don't owe you people an explanation as to why I did it, and that's going to suck. And I'm calling it right now. If she says, I don't owe you an explanation, thumbs down for me. But if she goes out there and she has a good reason, she's had 4 to 5 months to come up with a good heel promo, she better deliver on Monday. That's all I got to say.
Son.
All right, so yeah, I agree with the whole thing of adding Natty in there. I guess the idea was that Natty's from Canada, and so it's an easy way to get the hometown heat. But if we listen to those reactions, obviously a lot of people were for Becky, even if it's her home country. But that being said, it's been like, 4 years, I think, that Sasha Banks has been on the main roster, and we're finally getting the heel turn for him. So I'm looking forward to it because I was a big fan of her heel work in NXT. I agree, Aaron, with the explanation. I think there's a very simple explanation. Just have her simply come out and just vent her frustrations about how being a nice person didn't get her anywhere, trying to pretend to be the boss, and now she's gonna truly be a boss. And I think it fits. Yeah, her being the way she was didn't get her anywhere much in WWE, so now you can just build off of that. I'm looking forward to the match. We haven't seen, out of the 4 horsewomen wrestling, we haven't seen Becky versus Sasha much on the main roster. They maybe only had one match, so I'm looking forward to it. I just hope that Sasha Banks goes somewhere, and this isn't like they feud for 3 months and then Sasha gets lost in the shuffle and everything. So that's what I gotta say about it.
It's a good point. TJS, is Sasha going to SmackDown with the blue hair?
Okay.
I will say I like the complementary colors though. We've got the orange hair and the blue hair. That's pretty cool. Apparently, it's still SummerSlam to them.
Yeah. So the only thing that I can think of about the blue hair thing is Corey Graves made he said a good line. After she revealed the blue hair, Corey's like, oh, she reveals her true colors. So I was like, oh, okay, nice line by Corey. I agree with Virtue. This was done completely wrong. So you have Natalya out there saying, my dad died a year ago today. He was visiting me in my dream last night. And then you have Sasha come out. The crowd cheers. She's interrupting someone talking about her dead father visiting her in her dreams. Natalya's somehow okay with this? What? Like, she's just standing like, oh, Sasha, great to see you. Thanks for interrupting me. It was bad. And then
she punched her, smacked her, and then the reveal of the hair, like, who cares?
It is overbooked. And for the crowd being there, it's like, who's going to pop for that? Blue hair! Ah! I feel like...
Okay, wait a minute. Time out here. Okay, Virtue, you love swerves. You love Vince Russo. Sasha came out there acting like she was Natalya's friend, giving her a hug and all that, and then swerve. She turned heel. That is Vince Russo one-on-one. So how can you criticize this?
It's awful because Vince Russo wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't. He
would have. That's exactly
no,
what
he wouldn't have.
done.
He would have had her jump.
That is swerve 101.
He would have had her jump the rail in a hoodie, dressed like a dude.
That's what should have happened.
And then you're wondering who it is after a couple of kicks and punches, and then she does it all after the hoodie. Oh, yeah. She's back. No music. More element of surprise.
Exactly. The music is another thing.
I see what you're saying, Aaron. Okay.
But you know why they did the music, don't you? So Michael Cole could. Michael Cole was just dying to say it, man. It's boss time.
Okay. Here's another thing too. I think she needs a new theme song now. I think that theme music's no good with the heel turn. And if Michael Cole keeps saying that every week when she's a heel, that's gonna be cringy. That's gonna be very cringy if he still does that now that she's a heel.
It reminded me when Roman came back from the for the wild card.
The big dog.
Really, he admits saying that.
Yeah, so as soon as the music hit, though, Michael Cole's like, oh my? That's exactly how he said it. As soon as he read the text on the screen, it's boss time. And the only good thing about face Sasha Banks is that she wished me happy birthday when I went to a live event. That's it. Face Sasha Banks, not good. I agree with Robbie on that.
Well, there you have it. What do you think, NoDQ Galaxy? How would you like to see what would you like to see from Sasha Banks going forward regarding her new heel character? I mean, Eel Shorai looks like she's doing it well in NXT. Could Sasha Banks pull off this new gimmick change? So we will see. Well, she's still technically the boss. That's all I got. Let's go around and do our plugs. San, since you were our guest this week, I'll start with you.
All right, so yeah, you guys can follow me on social media. Name is spelled SONGOSHUAKU. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. So basically, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on NXT Takeover and Summerslam, I have my podcast up on my YouTube channel. And also check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception. I got the trailer out, been working hard on it for 7 years. So you can see all that, more stuff, voice acting, all that good stuff on my YouTube channel.
I think Rob's really interested. I'm not saying that as a rib, and you might have a new character, so you guys might need to hook up in the private chat. But anyway, awesome. Rob, go ahead.
Well, I have my one plug. You can follow me on Twitter at the new NoDQ Vice, all one word. And I will say with the new WWE 2K, if it comes out on Switch and it's not an incoherent mess, I am going to be all for it.
Good luck.
Yeah.
TJS.
Yeah, NoDQ.com/TJS takes you to my Facebook page. Twitter at NoDQ_TJS. Also, San's little short film, the trailer looked really good. I checked it out. And you guys mentioned Eel Shorai doing the heel thing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Eel's looking real good, in the words of Booker T. So there we go. Aaron, go ahead, man.
Okay, well, Big G was not on this week, but I would like to give him his plug. So go over to NoDQ.com/Big G and let us know how much you missed him. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel and NoDQ.com. And, of course, stay tuned to NoDQ for All Out news. We got All Out coming up in just about 2 weeks. Sonny, you going to be there?
I wanted to, but I don't know. Unfortunately, looks not. Yeah, I wasn't able to get those tickets, but I might go to NXT Takeover Chicago 3 and Survivor Series in November.
Oh, that's going to be a really fun weekend. Well, maybe
even better.
Wow. Well, I don't know about that.
Got to see about that.
But, son, maybe those ticket prices will drop on StubHub last minute, and you might be able to score some cheap tickets. We'll have to wait and see.
Keep an eye out on it.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on it. And, of course, stay tuned to NoDQ and make sure you guys buy a shirt, buy a hat, buy a hoodie, NoDQ.com/shirts, buy some Virtue T-shirts. We got those up there, and that's all I got, Virtue. Let's go ahead and wrap it up.
And Big G's Twitter handle is at NoDQ_Big G. But, yeah, we sent him on assignment to Toronto this week, so after we left. So that's where he is, by the way. But nonetheless, you can follow me. You can troll me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. You can go to my Facebook, NoDQ. I'm going to start that one over. NoDQ.com/Virtue with the small V. So there you go, TJS. You can actually go edit this and make that little meme or whatever you call it. That's for you, brother. So for San, for Aaron, for Rob Weiss, for TJS, I'm Virtue. See you next time.